Hi everyone, Nick here. Today the Serious Racing League heads to the Mexican Grand Prix and Mexico City for the 18th round of the season. Now, in racing games there are tracks that I like and there are tracks that I am good at. Usually it's great if I can combine the two, but one or the other is usually great. Unfortunately for me, this track is neither. I don't like it very much and I've never really gone very well here. It's not a great combination, but I was determined to try and power through this. There are still points to be won. There are still championship places to be made up. So let's go and get ourselves some points. Practice was pretty up and down really. At times I was reasonably quick, got a couple of pole positions, and there was this awesome start in one of our practice races.
Shadow flip. Mine was a legitimate textbook overtake. What was I going to let you back on?
Most of the time though, it was pretty ropey going.
It's like putting me in the wall wasn't enough actually. You had to come and try and finish the job. What the fuck is that? Never mind.
Definitely didn't retaliate to that though. Oh no.
Oh, someone's doing me something nice. Like it.
And finally, the entire podium pie were possessed by some kind of light demon.
What the hell was that?
Maybe I didn't want to finish on the podium after all. Anyway, into qualifying, and my first lap was good enough for a provisional pole, spoilers, but unfortunately it was a moderately slow 1:16.379. Decent at the time, but not going to get the job done. So I went out for another run and was pushing through the S's until the inevitable happened and I cut this right-hander ever so slightly and invalidated the lap when I was a few temps up. Bummer. So, one final lap to try and improve on my time. I'd slipped to 7th in the provisional grid standings, so I needed to do better. So here we go with a lap of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. So for turn 1 we're looking for a 100 metre board on the left hand side. When we get there we're going to slam the brakes on and we're going to get down to 3rd gear. We're going to turn in a bit more than you need to there to get an opened up turn 2, which helps with turn 3, and we can get off down the straight. We're fractionally down on our best, but this isn't where the time's made up. Time is made up through sectors 2 and 3. So we go down to 3rd gear for the left-hander, 2nd gear for the right-hander, bit bumpy through there, up to 4th momentarily, but then down to 2nd again for the double right-hander, and then the S's. So we go from 6th down to 5th, around 50 metres, ideally get a bit close to the exit, and then through here it's 5th, 6th gear, whichever one you can get through, and just keep it tidy. We've not really kept it particularly tidy there, because we've had to avoid a car that's just beached across the track. Although that didn't actually need us to lift off, it kind of distracted us, so when we get into sector 3 we miss the apex there and we've now lost any advantage we had. We still got to finish the lap though, so final corner, we get a bare exit then on our previous best, and we're going to beat our previous best by 9 thousandths of a second with a 1:16.370, and that was indeed only good enough for 7th place, 1.3 seconds off of pole. Not great, and it meant that I was going to be starting the race in the middle of the pack, and with a run down to turn 1 here, that is not ideal.
I can't remember the breaking zone is left, so watch out.
What the fuck was that, Blarg? He's fucking braked at that 200 metres from the fucking corner. Stop this game! I already lost half a fucking wing, 3 collisions.
Check your MFD for a new
What's the
strategy
point?
option.
So as you'll have noticed from that somewhat severe case of heads-gone-itis, I'm not overly happy with what happened there. My race is essentially done at this point because on some tracks you can get away with a bit of front wing damage. This is not one of them because these S's, they're hard at the best of times, and as you can see here I'm massively struggling through here and I'm going to have to pit at the end of this lap. So I'm in 11th place, losing time, and going to have to pit for a nice long pit stop to change my front wing. Not ideal. In Blarg's defence, he said that he was unable to see the racing line, which he has as one of the assists he uses. I have some kind of sympathy for that because I used to use the racing line and I know why people use it, but I think if you're using it literally as the only measure for how to do a corner and when to brake, it's not ideal. It means that if you can't see that, you're screwed, and I don't know, not great. Anyway, it could be worse. It could be Sonny behind me who got caught up in that incident and then got stacked behind me in the pits. Ouch. At the end of lap 2, I was now 26.7 seconds behind Stefano, who was now in 11th place, and by my calculations I was about 38 seconds down on the leader. Now obviously I'm not anticipating battling it out for the lead when I'm this far behind, but at this point you just kind of have to get your head down and hope for the best. Other people could have issues, there could be a safety car, I know, silly of me to even suggest it, but it could happen, and that would of course bring me right back into play. So although at this point it looked a bit rubbish, it could get better. At the end of lap 11 it did get ever so slightly better, as DP and Monty pitted for their first pit stops and I was able to jump them both in the pits. At the end of lap 18, 10th became 9th as Coulthard pitted and I was able to overtake him, and by lap 26 the gap to Stefano was less than 3 seconds, bit down from the 27 seconds. The problem I had was penalties, as at this point I picked up my second time penalty of the race, so that was 6 seconds in total. Now Stefano is notorious in this racing league for never ever getting time penalties, so that meant that I needed to not only overtake him, but I needed to beat him by 6 seconds. So at the end of lap 27 I pitted for some soft tyres. My tyres were on 54%, maybe I could have tried to nurse them home. I don't know, in retrospect maybe that would have been worth having a go and I might have been able to jump Stefano that way. Instead I undercut him with a good outlap.
Unlucky Stefano. Oh my god.
So at the start of lap 30, the gap back to Stefano was 2.7 seconds. As I mentioned before, I had 6 seconds worth of penalties, so I needed to extend that lead by another 3.3 seconds. That meant I needed to push, and by the end of the penultimate lap, I'd almost done it. I was on 5.7 seconds, so I'm sure you can guess what happened.
What? How? Oh,
You've been
fuck
awarded a time
me.
penalty for the last incident. This is your final lap. Final lap of the race.
So now that I had 9 seconds worth of penalties, there wasn't going to be any stopping Stefano jumping me after the finish line, so we crossed the line in 8th but finished 9th. And that's not ideal. We ended up finishing a total of 56.9 seconds off the lead though, and as I reckon I was about 40 seconds off the lead after lap 2. That's not too bad over the rest of the race. If I'd maybe not had that damage at the start, I could have been, well, I don't want to say fighting for a podium, but I wouldn't have been down in 8th, 9th and 10th, I don't think anyway. But in the end, these things happen. It's been a long time since I had a particularly bad first turn incident, so maybe it's just my time, maybe it's just due one. Second corner incident was entirely my fault, but you know, by that point the head was almost certainly gone. Anyway, That's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then what are you waiting for? Go hit that button now. It's always hugely appreciated when you do so. And let me know in the comments below how you reckon it went. Do you reckon there could have been any strategy shenanigans I could have pulled to try and got myself back into that race? Obviously no safety car to help you because it doesn't exist in this game. Thanks Codemasters. But yeah. Maybe I could have done something better. Let me know if you reckon I could have done anything to improve that result. But until next time, and the next video, goodbye.